Hello viewers, today we are in a little bit different environment. I have decided to do this facility for working on engines because I want a cleaner environment, so to don't get any debris inside the engine while working on it. And as you know, on most of the workshops, when they are doing their engine rebuilds or timing change ups even, the engine is staying opened up for several days. During this period of time, the cars are getting inside and outside all the time, and this is raising dust all the time, which can get inside the engine. As we know, the dust is abrasive and can cause some damage on the engine. Yeah, I know this is getting a little bit crazy, but if you want to get a little bit better results, you're going to want a cleaner environment for doing these jobs. That's why I have decided to do this facility, but still it's under construction. I don't have the tables and tools and everything else. This is where is the shop. I have just made a door here and we need to close it a little bit better, but still we are far away from the shop and all the debris which are getting around the cars. So now it's going to be much more sufficient to do this job. See, just to say a few words, because you are watching this because of that probably. This is N47, and especially as we know, N47 has different codes. So in this case, this is N47 D20C. This is the generation of the N47. This is the third generation. The first generation is A. I believe the last generation was D, which is on the F30. So this is the third generation of the engine, which means this is one of the latest N47s, which is installed in E90. Yeah, this engine is removed from the E90. Let me show you the car. So there. Should I кликнеш? So here is the car. As we can see, we have removed once again the gearbox, the engine, the front axle, everything is removed from the car. This is E90 2010, and yeah, this is the car that we are working on and the engine which we have removed from her. Main thing that we're going to do is to show you the complete timing chain job on this N47. I know I have a timing job on N57, which is a little bit different than the N47, and I have seen several videos of this job which are done incorrectly. So in this video I'm planning to show you how to do it correctly and to not have any issues. We're probably going to do some job on the balance shafts. We're going to see that because the owner wants to do it as good as possible. That's why we have decided to remove the engine from the car and do everything as it should be done. We're going to change the valve cover because, as we know, on this N47 and N57 they are leaking all the time from behind, and if you change only the gasket, still is going to continue to leak, as we can see the leakage here, because the main reason is that they are bending. I'm going to show you later on. Probably this is the valve cover there. I'm going to show you. We're going to change also the oil pump. We're going to check the bearings and so on. So now I'm going to start. First of all, the most important thing right now is to time up correctly the engine. So before I start removing the flywheel and the timing chain cover, I'm going to put the crankshaft on a top dead center on cylinder number 1. For this we're going to need to lock it up, and to lock it up we're going to need to remove this plastic cap here. So we're going to remove it and we're going to use the tool. This is the special tools that we're going to use. This is for to lock the crankshaft to the flywheel. Little by little I'm going to show you everything what is for. But first of all, let me rotate the engine a little bit and lock it. I believe here was the locking position of the crankshaft, so I'm going to rotate a little bit the crankshaft with the flywheel and I'm going to show you. Okay, so I'm going to rotate the engine through the bolts of the flywheel. It's a little bit easier while we have them here. As we can see, I have to remove the cap which was installed here, so to be able to install the locking tool. So I'm going to try to aim once again this hole. Like that. As we can see right now, the crankshaft is locked at top dead center on cylinder number 1. Later on, when we install the new chains, I'm going to show you the idea behind this, because right now we're going to remove the flywheel. Probably while we are removing it, we're going to rotate a little bit the crankshaft because of the impact, but later on we're going to redo this to check is everything okay. But just for reference, this is how to lock up your crankshaft on the right position. Okay, this car is at 245,000 kilometers. And as we know, on 200,000 kilometers, most of the time the timing chains look terrible, but in this case, as we can see, the upper timing chain, which is the most common issue with this engine, it's not so bad. Yeah, it has a little bit movement, but this is nothing compared to other cars. Yeah, this is the original timing chains. Have never been replaced. The car is on real mileage. We have checked that, and as you can see, the movement is not so big. So probably this was going to run for at least maybe several thousand kilometers more. But we want to keep it safe, and once again, as you can see, it doesn't move. And I think this car have been driven mostly on extra urban, and this is why probably on this mileage the timing chain is not so bad. If you drive more often, more urban, on this mileage the timing chain is going to look much more bad than this, much more swag. So just want to show you the condition of this timing chain on this mileage, on 245 once again, that it's not so bad. So now I'm going to rotate by hand the flywheel with the removed bolts, just to aim it once again like that. Just to show you the tool once again. Okay, I'm going to rotate like that, just to check what's happening with the timing right now with the original chains. So this is the tool which is for working the camshafts, like on the N57. So like that. So as we can see, as we can see, the tool is pretty much almost flat. I think I can push it on the cylinder head. On this side, is flat, but on this side is a little bit lifted. Probably the chain has a little bit of stretchiness, but still this is not going to cause an issue. So this is the swag. Still it has a lot until it jumps a tooth, but still it's kind of risky. So yeah, for sure we're going to change it while we are here, because with the removed engine and stuff, it's going to be pointless if we don't do the job right now. So yeah, right now, as we can see, the engine is timed correctly, because this is the original timing chain and nobody have touched it. So you're going to need to work it here, the camshafts, and through the flywheel. I'm showing this because on N57 there will be some differences. Still there on N57 is going to be the same. You're going to need to work up the flywheel and here. But there is some difference with the workup of the high pressure fuel pump, because the high pressure fuel pump on 4-cylinder N47 engines is different than the N57 ones, and that's why there is some different way to time up the high pressure fuel pump gear. That is why I want to show this, but I'm going to show it a little bit more in details later. So now let's remove the flywheel, and yeah, I should be able to remove this also. We're going to remove the crankshaft sensor, just to be sure that we're not going to break anything. And now I'm going to start, actually we need to start removing the oil pan first before removing the timing chain cover. So let me remove the oil pan, and I'm going to show you the removal of the timing chain cover. Okay, so all the bolts through the perimeter of the oil pan is removed. Now I'm going to try to remove it. There is no plastic debris inside, so probably we don't have any broken plastic guide, which should be good, right? Okay, I think I have removed all the bolts for the timing chain cover. Now I'm going to try to remove it. Probably it's going to be pretty stuck. Okay, this is what was causing us issues. As you can see, there is some signs of rust, but yeah, it's normal. Okay, now I'm going to remove the oil pump, which is integrated with the vacuum pump. Okay, we're actually going to change it. So I'm going to remove it like a full assembly without removing the bolt on the front. I want to show you something really important that I have seen a lot of people are doing this mistake. Even when they do a video about it, they don't do it right. Right now we have removed only the oil pump and the oil pump chain. I haven't touched anything else related to the timing chains and guides and tensioners. So I'm going to show you the original timing of the engine. That's why I'm just going to put in the timing chain cover. Just to use once again this hole for the locking tool for the crankshaft. So just going to place it like that. After that, the flywheel. There is one pin which is locating the flywheel exactly in one position. So once again, the tool, which I'm going to install from the back, and once again I'm going to need to rotate it a little bit. Like that. So right now the crankshaft should be locked at the right position, and I should be able to install this tool once again on the camshafts. So like that, as we can see. And now I'm going to remove everything without touching the crankshaft. So I'm going to gently remove the flywheel. After that, the timing chain cover. And now, as we saw, the crankshaft and the camshafts are locked in their correct position. But if we take a closer look, as you can see, this is the high pressure fuel pump gear, and we have a notch here which is for timing up properly the high pressure fuel pump. And this on 6-cylinder engines should be pointing on this notch on the cylinder block here. And as you can see how far away it is on its position. Here is the notch, here is where it's located, and this is the original timing from the factory. I haven't touched anything, and nobody probably haven't touched anything on this engine. And as we can see right now, we are far away from this notch. This is because on the 4-cylinder N47s you need to time up the high pressure fuel pump differently than the N57s. So now I'm going to rotate a little bit the crankshaft, and I'm going to show you how to time it correctly. Once again, previously the crankshaft was locked with the timing tool from here through the flywheel. So now I'm going to rotate it a little bit. So this is the tool that I'm going to use. So now I'm going to use this handle to push it until this thread aligns with this hole. Okay, like that. And now, if we take a closer look on the high pressure fuel pump, the notch here, not the notch, the line on the gear, it aligns perfectly with the notch on the cylinder block, as you can see, like on the N57s. But as we saw, I have rotated the crankshaft, which means right now the crankshaft is not on top dead center. I will not be able to install the camshaft locking tool. So yeah, on N47 you need to align the high pressure fuel pump. I forget how many degrees was out of the top dead center, but they were probably 11 or 12, 20 degrees, I forget how much they were. But doesn't matter, I just wanted to say that this is really important. You need to time up correctly your high pressure fuel pump. If you don't do it, it's possible that you're going to make some harmonic unbalance on the timing chains, and you're going to reduce drastically the life of these timing chains. Actually, there are two tools like this. This is for the older engines, like this N47, and on F30s, you should have a tool like this, which is going to be something like that. The installation, which is going to be something like that. But in our case, I cannot install it because the notch here doesn't align here. So yeah, I cannot install it. Doesn't matter how I rotate it. If I install it like that, it goes nowhere. So this is the tool for this engine in this case, but if you have a newer engine, let's say N47 D20D generation, which is the 4th generation N47, you're going to need a tool like this. This is the part number if you want to use BGS. The other tool which right now we are using is from the kit which I have for these engines. So right, once again, this is really important if you don't want to have unbalanced rotational forces through the high pressure fuel pump. So now, after we check this, once again, you can install it like that or like that, but in our case we are using this notch here and we can lock it here. Now I'm going to remove everything and we're going to redo the procedure. So before we proceed with the timing chain, I'm going to start removing the caps of the main bearings and the conrod bearings because we want to check the bearings, the condition of them. But before that, we're going to remove these caps because we are going to remove the whole crankshaft. So to check the lower bearings, the main bearings, so to be able to check them, we're going to need to remove the crankshaft. From here, the balance shafts should come out, and actually we have two new needle bearings for the balance shafts here. They are 4 in total. I forget where. Here the other two. And yeah, we have both new caps because they have some O-rings, and yeah, a lot of parts here for this engine. Okay, this is one of the caps which we're going to replace. Okay, so we're going to need to remove the AC compressor bracket here because it's on our way. Without removing it, we are not going to have enough place to remove this cap. Okay, so we have made some access to the cap, and this is what we're going to need to remove to be able to remove this. The AC compressor, the alternator, the tensioner for the serpentine belts, and finally this flange which is holding all of them. And now we have enough access to the other cap, which I'm going to try to remove. Like on the other side, they're pretty stuck because they haven't been removed ever. So yeah, they're hot with some O-ring, and actually on the back there is some teeth or something like that. Okay, so this is the other cap. I believe they are the same part number. Yeah, they are the same part number, so they are the same. And pretty much this uncovers the both balance shafts here and here, for which now I'm going to show you the special tool that I'm going to use later on to aim them in the crankshaft. Okay, we have removed the water pump, so to be able to install the tool which is going to hold the balance shafts in place. So actually after that we're going to use the same tool for installing them in place because they should be located in certain way. If you rotate them and just install them as you want, you're going to have some vibrations after that in the engine, so you need to install them in special order. So right now the crankshaft is located at top dead center, and if you look here how they are oriented, the upper part here is facing downwards to the open side. And now I'm going to use this tool, which is this is how it looks like, to lock them in place. So the tool goes here. You can see through the open that there is a place that they are going to lock here and here, as we can see. This is how you're going to know that they are installed correctly in their position, like that. There is a hole which you can use for holding the tool in place, so like that. For now I'm not going to tighten it up because for some reason my tool is a little bit bended. It's kind of hard to install the locking tool on the crankshaft, but I'm going to show you. So let me try to do it. Once again I have installed the timing chain cover and the flywheel once again, and once again the locking tool should go on the crankshaft, but because I told you my tool is a little bit bended, it's making me some hard time, but as you can see I am able to install it. So right now the crankshaft is at top dead center, the tool is installed on the balance shaft, which means that they are timed correctly. Yeah, we haven't removed them, but this is how we're going to install them after that, just to show you what is the idea behind everything. So now I'm going to remove the tools, the locking tools, and now we're going to remove them, both balance shafts, and I'm going to show you what we're going to change. Okay, so I have pretty much removed all the timing components. I didn't film it because you're going to see how to install them. It's pretty much in the reverse order, so I think it's more interesting to see how to install it. But I want to show how to remove the high pressure fuel pump. So I'm using just a E14 for the bolt, and I'm going to hold the chains like this because if I don't hold it, the chain is going to skip a tooth. It's a normal thread, it's not reverse thread. So I'm not going to fully remove it, because the gear is coating the high pressure fuel pump with a cone. And now I'm going to use the special tool from the kit. So this is going to tighten up to the gear using this. Either way, we're going to change this gear, so it's not big of a deal if you messed up something, but I'm just going to show you what is the way to remove this gear without trying to do something stupid. So now pretty much this is straightened up. Now I'm just going to continue on doing this bolt on the high pressure fuel pump, and this is going to release the cone from the high pressure fuel pump like that. So without this tool it's a little bit harder. It's not impossible to use some clamp to remove it, but it's a little bit more risky. With this tool it's a little bit easier because as we can see here inside it's a cone, so this is what it holds here. And yeah, we have a notch which aligns in the high pressure fuel pump here. So yeah, this is the last timing chain, and pretty much everything is removed. Now I'm going to clean all the surfaces before we start installing the new components. Okay, so we have removed the crankshaft to check all the bearings. Actually, as usual on these engines, the cone rod bearings are in pretty good shape. They are looking like a brand new ones. So as we can see, they look, yeah, we have oil here, so but pretty much they look pretty good. Let me show you on the caps. Okay, here as we can see once again, pretty good, like a brand new ones. All of them are looking fantastic, but as usual the main bearings are not looking like them. So this is all the main bearings. As we can see, this is on the main caps, the main cap side, and as we can see they look pretty bad. This is on the cylinder block side, they look kind of better, except yeah, the axial bearing. Most of the time this goes bad. On the bearings on the caps looks pretty bad. So we're going to replace only the main bearings on this engine. For doing this, we're going to need this information, which was where it was, yeah, here. So let me zoom in. As you can see, we have only number 2s, which should be installed on the main bearing caps and on the cylinder block. Let me show you where it was, yeah, here. As we can see, we have 0, 0, 1 and 4 2s, so which means we're going to have 1 yellow bearing and 4 green ones. And yeah, on the main bearings, because on the crankshaft we have only 2s, we're going to have only green bearings. So I decided to do some check, and interestingly enough, BMW originally from the factory have installed only yellow bearings. So I have checked the number on the bearings, which is here. So this is the number 6802647. Yeah, this numbers means that this shell is yellow, which means number 1, and all of them, all the 10 bearings are yellow ones. The number of these bearings equals yellow color. So on the factory, BMW have decided that they want to install the loosest bearing, because the yellow one is the more loosened bearing, the green one is the middle size bearing, and the white one is the more tight bearing you can install before regrinding the crankshaft. When you regrind the crankshaft, you have once again these colors, but on STD crankshaft, stock crankshaft with stock journals and stuff, you have 3 sizes. The looser one is once again yellow, the middle one is green, and the most tighter one is white. But as we saw, most of our bearings should be green, but from factory BMW have decided to use yellow ones. Which doesn't matter, we're going to keep with the numbers on the crankshaft and on the cylinder block, and we're going to install the right bearings here. Once again, 4 green and 1 yellow, and on the caps only green ones. We're going to order them because we were not sure what was going to be the condition of the bearings. So now we're going to need to wait 1 or 2 days until the bearings come in the shop, and after that we're going to install them. So the new bearings came up. We have 10 bearing shells in total, 2 axial ones and 8 radial ones with the new bolts. This is the part number which BMW uses all the time on older and new engines. Actually here you're going to see it a little bit easier. So this is the part number. As we know, BMW here decided to change the design of the bolt with Torx kit. So this is the new design bolt which BMW here decided to use, and the old one is looking like that with this type of head, hexagon head. So now I'm going to open them up, all of them. We have 1 yellow and 9 green ones. And as we remember, the yellow one was on the side of the cylinder block. I forget which one it was. I believe it was the first one. I'm going to check. But on the crankshaft, because we have only two, as you can probably see here, we have only two, which means we have only green bearings on the caps. So we cannot mess this up here. We can mess up only the yellow bearing on the cylinder block side. And once again we're going to use the old bearings of the con rods, which means we are not going to measure the clearance on the con rods. We're going to measure only the clearance on the main bearings with the plastic gauge. And for this we're going to use the old bolts which are here. We're going to tighten them up and we're going to see what is the clearance with the new bearings, and if everything is okay, we're going to put the assembly loop and tighten them up with the new bolts which we bought. Okay, so the bearings, as we know, number 2 equals green. As you can see, previously on the bearings we had some marking with the color, but now we have only 2 and 1. Probably for easier installation, I guess we should have one, yeah, number 1. So this is the yellow one, which is going to go on the cylinder block, and the both guiding bearings, which should be, both of them should be 2. This is the one, and the other. Okay, so we have measured with the plastic gauge all the clearances. Let me show you. So this is on cap number 1, which has the smallest clearance. So it's a little bit less than 0.025, but a little bit bigger than 0.038. So it's somewhere in between, probably somewhere around 0.30. So let's see the other one. So once again, bigger, smaller than 25 and bigger than 38. This one, maybe this is going to be 38 directly. Yeah, around 38. It was actually a little bit bigger, but close enough. This is, yeah, pretty much the same case scenario. Yeah, a little bit around 38. And the last one, which is on the timing chain side. So once again, around 0.038. So pretty much we should be fine, because the specification, the clearance specification for this engine is between 0.023 to 0.054, I believe it was. So we are at around, let's say, close to the middle. So I think we're going to be safe. Now we're going to remove the crankshaft. Yeah, we're going to clean the plastic gauge, of course, and we're going to put assembly loop. We're going to reassemble everything with the brand new bolts, of course, and pretty much we're going to be done with the crankshaft, and after that we're going to install the balance shafts. Okay, so everything is tightened up, all the main bearings and the con rod bearings. We have used new bolts for the con rods and the main bearings, the main bearing caps. Yeah, pretty much this is it. The only thing that I want to say about it is the torque spec for the con rods. A lot of people have contacted me about this, because I have a video on N57 about this, the same procedure, but much more detailed. If you want to see it, I'm going to put it in the description below. How to do it step by step. Here I didn't film it because this video is going to be much more longer, and I know you guys don't like it. So the torque spec for the main bearings is 25 Nm, 50 Nm, and after that 2 times 60 degrees. On the con rods, from the BMW manual, you should torque them to 20 Nm, and after that 2 times 70 degrees. But in my opinion, this is wrong. You need to torque this to 20 Nm plus 1 times 70 degrees. You're going to ask yourself why, and this is because I have worked on these engines for several years, and the first time I have worked on these engines was before I don't know how many years, but then in the manual of BMW I remember that the torque spec for these con rods were 20 Nm and only 1 times 70 degrees. After maybe 1 or 2 years, BMW have decided to change this to 2 times 70 degrees. I don't know why, but these bolts are used on many BMW engines, even on M57, which has torque spec, like I said, 20 Nm and 70 degrees. and I don't see the point why on M57 and M47 the torque spec is going to be different than N47, because if you torque them to 2 times 70 degrees, the clearance is going to get much more smaller. And yeah, I know people that have done this, torquing 2 times 70 degrees, and they have thrown away a crankshaft because of this, because the clearance getting so small that the con rod is hitting the journal. So that's why I think that you should do it only 1 time 70 degrees. You should do this only on your risk. This is just my advice, but all the M57 and M47 engines that I'm working on, I am using this torque spec, only 1 time 70 degrees for the con rods. So the timing components, we're going to replace pretty much everything with OEM parts, the 4 guides, the gears, the high pressure fuel pump gear, the camshaft gear, with new bolts on the gears. We are using the old bolts for the tensioner and for the oil nozzle. For the chains, the 3 chains are new OEM ones. This is the other tensioner, and pretty much everything important is going to be replaced. So we're going to start with installing the gear of the high pressure fuel pump and the chain for the crankshaft. Okay, so we're going to start once again with the crankshaft chain, which is attached to the high pressure fuel pump gear. So as you can see, let me show you. The high pressure fuel pump here has a notch, so to aim the gear in place, as we can see from behind, which is guiding the gear in place. So we're going to go like that, and once again this, which should point here, but this should not point here to the cylinder block when the crankshaft is at top dead center. Once again, this should point here when we use this tool and rotate the crankshaft. Once again, I forget how many degrees, but we should rotate it once again until this hole aligns with this thread here. So this is the difference how to time up this engine compared with N57, and this is what all of the people are making mistake with. And yeah, the car is going to start up if you don't do it like that, but still you're going to reduce the lifespan of this chain if you don't do it right. Let's rotate the crankshaft until I'm going to be able to lock this tool in place. Like so. So I'm just going to place a bolt here, some random M6 bolt. Yeah, I took the most trusted bolt that I can find, like that. And now just to rotate the gear as where it's supposed to be placed, I once again going to aim this notch to the cylinder block notch. So let me show you once again. So this should be pointing here. So let's see. Yeah, it looks just about right. So it's going to be like that. Let's see. Oops, not like that. Yeah. So this is how it's supposed to be. Now I'm just going to place the bolt, so to be sure that the high pressure fuel pump gear is not going to get out of place. And we're going to torque this bolt to 70 Newton meters. So you just need to hold it like that, so to be sure that you're going to apply force here without popping up the chain out of the gear. So just to clarify once again, yeah, this is pointing to the right side. So let me torque it up. Okay, so once again 70 Newton meters, and yeah, I'm going to hold it like that. Okay, so 70 Newton meters. So after installing the chain with the gear, we're going to continue with the both timing chain guides for the lower timing chain. As you can see, they are a little bit different than the old ones. It came the same for the N57, they are looking the same. You can see there on the old timing components. For comparison, this one and this one, as you can see, a little bit different design. So they have replaced those. The other ones are pretty similar, except this one is a little bit different, but not big of a deal. So let's install them. We have cleaned up this guiding sleeves, let's call them, which are installed here. Originally they have a thread locker, so I'm going to use this medium strength thread locker, in this case screw lock, doesn't matter the brand. Let's install these two guides in place. So this is for the timing chain tensioner. The tensioner sits here. We're going to install it after a second. And this is like that. So I'm going to put some thread locker on this. Oops. A little bit too excessive. I'm going to wipe it up a little bit. It's not necessary to put so much. So the torque spec for these 3 bolts is 20 Newton meters. Okay, so now I'm going to install the tensioner here. So the tensioner is held with 2 bolts, these ones. Yeah, now I'm going to install the oil nozzle, and after that I'm going to torque these bolts because they are the same bolts, and to be able to torque them together. So the oil nozzle is a must to be changed, because if this breaks down you're going to lose some oil pressure. So it's always a good idea to change this. It's not so expensive. Okay, so the torque spec for these 3 bolts is 8 Newton meters. It's not a lot, but the bolts are small. Okay, like that. Now I can remove this, so to remove all the slack in the chain, like that. Now the chain is nice and snug. Okay, so we have installed all the components on the lower timing chain, because when we remove this bolt from here and the tool actually, we want to be sure that when we start rotating the crankshaft, we are not going to jump a tooth either on the gear of the high pressure fuel pump or either on the gear of the crankshaft, actually on the crankshaft itself. So, because as I told you, right now the crankshaft is not at the top dead center, because right now we are a few degrees out of the top dead center. We need to rotate it back to initial position. For the exact position, we are going to need to reinstall back the timing chain cover with the flywheel, so to be sure where is the exact position. But as we can see right now, this notch here is out of the alignment with the notch on the cylinder block once again. So we're going to keep it like that, because this is the idea, because these high pressure fuel pumps are totally different than the N57 ones. This is with only one head, and on N57s we have 2 heads on them. Because this has only one head, this is why this is making unbalance on the timing chain. And on N57, yeah, you still need to time the pump, because with 2 heads still the high pressure fuel pump is not so balanced. But on older engines, N57, the high pressure fuel pump has 3 heads. That is why on M57 you don't need to time up the high pressure fuel pump, because the pump is balanced and with 3 heads you don't need to time it. With 2 heads and 1 head you're going to need to time your high pressure fuel pump.
Okay, so
something like that. Now I'm going to install the pin. So right now, as you can see, the crankshaft is exactly on top dead center. And yeah, right now I'm going to install the tool for walking up the camshafts. So as we saw, we have walked up the crankshaft at top dead center, but because we have done several things on this engine, we have rotated the camshafts, especially because we have cleaned up the ports of the cylinder head, which means we have rotated the camshafts so to be able to close up the valves and open up some of them. But doesn't matter, right now the camshafts are a little bit far away from the right position, and I know that because the lobes of the camshafts should point, both of them, to this side. And as you can see right now, this is the intake camshaft. It's pointing somewhere up down, and the exhaust one is pointing to the intake side. So I'm going to need to rotate the camshafts, and for those of you that don't know how to rotate these camshafts, because they don't have anywhere a square to catch it with a wrench, BMW have done here a place to put, how much was this? Key. Allen key number 10, and you can place it here, and like that you can rotate the camshafts. So I'm going to rotate it if it allows me, because right now it's possible to, probably we can, yeah, probably we're going to need to rotate the crankshaft, because right now we are at top dead center and we are hitting a valve. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit. Oops, like that. And we are pretty close, I believe. Let me check. So yeah, just a smidge more, like that. So as we can see from here, the tool is flat on the cylinder head on the both sides, so we should be good. Now I'm going to put back the crankshaft in its position, because I have rotated it a little bit, yeah, like that. So as you can see, the crankshaft is hooked up to the flywheel, and the camshafts here are exactly on their position. Once again, the lobes are pointing to the exhaust side, which means the timing should be fine. So now we can continue with the installation of the rest of the chains, the upper chains. So I'm going to remove once again the flywheel and the timing chain cover, so to be able to install them. This comical chain is for the camshafts, and this is why it's breaking all the time, because it's so thin that it's for bicycle probably. So the threads on the camshaft should not be in the end position of this rectangular hole or something like that, because when you install the tensioner, it's going to put the pressure to this side, if you install it like that, when you put the tensioner, it's going to rotate a little bit, and if we are on the end of the position, you are not going to be able to take the slack out of the chain. That's why you should have room here until you meet the bolt. That is why you need to make it close to the center as possible. It's impossible to make it on all of the lines, because they are a little bit different, but like that, which I'm showing right now, is going to be fine, because this is the end position that the chain can go, and still I have a room here. So now let's place the guides in place. So this one, and this one, actually I'm going to place the 3 bolts, so to be sure that this is not going anywhere, the gear actually. and you should only finger tighten them, because if you tighten them up, you are not going to be able to take the slack out of the chain when you install the tensioner. So only finger tight. And yeah, this gear doesn't matter how you're going to install it, on the both sides is the same. Okay, like that's not going anywhere. So let's install the rest. And yeah, you always recheck how the timing chain goes through the timing chain guides. If you have installed incorrectly on the timing chain guides, you're going to break it when you start rotating the engine. They are pretty tough, but still, if the chain is tight when you start rotating the engine, you're going to break it for sure. So you need to be sure that the chain is going right in the middle of the guide. As you can see here, they are going exactly in the middle of the guide. So these two, which are guiding this guide, are the most important ones, because if you don't put sufficient amount of thread locker here, you're going to have a oil leak from these threads. So I'm trying to fill up all the threads with thread locker, so to be sure that I'm not going to have an oil leak. So let me do it one by one. So as you can see the threads, how they are filled with thread locker. Yeah, after that it's going to be a little bit hard to remove them, but yeah, better like this than having oil leak from behind, which is going to be kind of hard to repair after that. It's not going to be impossible, but still it's going to be annoying to be repaired. Make sure that you are going through exactly through the whole of the timing chain guide, because you can move from here and you should be sure that it goes through the guide. So once again, the torque spec is going to be 20 Nm from all these 3 bolts which we have installed. The less extensions you're using, the less the chance that you're going to make a mistake with torquing down this. Okay, like that. And now the new tensioner, I believe there should be a difference. So this is the old style tensioner. As we can see the difference, the head is a little bit lower and the new one is a little bit with higher head. This is how you can distinguish them. It's cool that the new tensioner comes with a seal ring, aluminum sealing ring. So it goes through this hole here. Now I'm going to tighten up the tensioner, and you guys are going to see the small movement of this gear of the camshaft. It's not going to be a lot, but there will be some movement. It was almost none, but so I'm going to tighten up this tensioner to 70 Nm. Okay, like that. And now I'm going to recheck once again the timing before tightening up this fully. Okay, so the torque spec for these 3 bolts is 17 Nm. So yeah, on the older engine is 14. Actually on the manual it says that you should torque them to 10 Nm, slacken them off 90 degrees and then torque them to 17 Nm. Okay, so let's install the car to see how everything aligns. As we can see, perfectly goes through the flywheel and the camshaft bridge. Pretty much flat with the cylinder head. So now, yeah, we have checked that, but for sure I'm going to rotate the engine at least 2 times and check the timing once again. So let's do 2 rotations and see is everything aligning back in place. Okay, I'm going to rotate the crankshaft. I'm going to need to rotate it 2 times because, as we know, 2 rotations of the crankshaft equals 1 rotation of the camshafts. So this is 1. This is 2. Oh. That probably is going to fall down. And once again, the camshaft bridge, as we can see, perfectly flat on the cylinder head. And on the other side, you need to be flat on the both sides. As you can see, perfectly flat. So pretty much this engine is perfectly timed. Let me show you the high pressure fuel pump once again, how it sits when we are at top dead center. So as we can see here, this is the notch of the high pressure fuel pump and it's pointing somewhere in the sky. But now, if I rotate this with the tool, sorry, it should be like that. Like this on this thread, as you can see, the notch is pointing here to this marking on the cylinder block. So yeah, this is the proper way to time up your N47 engine. It's a little bit different than the N57, but still this is the way. I'm talking like Mandalorian on. What else? Yeah, once again, if you have newer generation N47 like on F30, you're going to need a tool like this. It's going to do the same job, but the high pressure fuel pump is going to be worked a little bit different. This is for the older generations, this is for the newer generations. Yeah, pretty much this is it. We're going to install back the timing chain cover, we're going to put silicone here and here, and yeah, pretty much this is it. Once again, I'm going to start selling these bolts. I'm going to put in the description below the link for them, and actually I'm going to sell tools for the front and the rear crankshaft seals, because few people have asked me about this. I'm going to have a tool for the front and the rear crankshaft seal on N47 and N57. This is about installing the timing components. Everything else is in reverse order. Yeah, let me just show you the installation of the oil pump, because this is still part of the timing chain components. Okay, so this is the new oil pump that we're going to use. This is OEM1. Just wanted to show you that you need to check for this O-ring here to not fall down, because if you have issue here, you're going to lose some oil pressure. So just check, is it in place? So let's install it. Okay, like that. Okay, it's located in place. Now bolts. Okay, so all the bolts are the same except the one which goes in the middle, which is the longest one. Originally we have a thread locker here, so I have cleaned up the old thread locker and going to apply new one. So once again, middle strength thread locker, like that. Okay, so I'm going to tighten up all the bolts to 23 Newton meters except the one with the thread locker. The only difference is that the middle bolt should be tightened up to 15 Newton meters and 90 degrees. So 15 and 90 degrees more.
Was it green or white?
Okay, so pretty much the pump is tightened up. The only thing that's left to install the suction pipe, if I may to call it something like that. I have installed a new O-ring, which is green. So let's aim it like that. Okay.
Easy.
While I'm doing this, we are applying the silicone to the perimeter of the cylinder block, which is going to seal up the timing chain cover. We are using the OEM one, which is this Loctite. So we are using that. It's a little bit harder to apply it because
It's kind of hard to squeeze.
Yeah.
Always.
Do you even lift, man? Do you even lift? We're going to apply here on this side also, and you don't need to forget these two circles. Because you need to apply also here. BMW is recommended to put also on the gasket, but I have never done this and I haven't had leaks from here. So yeah, we're going to apply only here. Also on N57 is pretty much the same procedure. You have the gasket here, on the, I mean the older engines, and the silicone only on the side. Actually N57 has a gasket here. Okay, I'm going to tighten up these two bolts to 10 Newton meters. Okay, like that. Okay, so other really important thing for installation of the timing chain cover is BMW is recommending to install the cover without the seal, but we're going to install it with the seal because I am hacking the procedure with where it was. Okay, it is here. So with this, which is taken from M57 rear seal, crankshaft seal, it came with this plastic to install it. I'm just going to press it in the crankshaft like that, and as you can see, it fully goes around the crankshaft. So this is going to aim the seal pretty nicely without any issues, but still, as I told you, if you need to replace only the seal, you're going to need, except this, you're going to need also a sleeve which is going to guide it, for which I'm going to do a special tool for it, but still is under development. For now we're going to install it with this plastic once again, which I took it from N57. Let's apply a little bit more on these circles, and we're going to install the timing chain cover. We have cleaned up all the bolts which are here, so yeah. Okay, so let's install it. Actually, let's first aim the seal. Там гарнитурата да не се забърне.
Не.
Скратка. Okay, so the timing chain cover is installed. All the bolts are torque, so the small bolts are 8 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, all of them, and the bigger ones, here the three bigger ones, which are M8, are 22 Newton meters. So yeah, we haven't started the engine and we already have a leak. No, this is from the brake cleaner. This is the seal. As we can see, it's nice and right in its place without any damage on it. So I think this is easier way to install it. And now we have cleaned up the surface, but on the open I prefer to put the silicone on the open itself, not here, because you can mess up where you can put the silicone, because it's a lot of flat surface here, and you can put it somewhere away from the surface of the open and you're going to have immediately a leak from there. That's why I prefer to put it on the open. You just need to be a little bit careful when you are installing the open, because you can mess up your silicone. He's going to continue putting this silicone. Probably after an hour he's going to be ready, and we're going to install the open. I'm just going to check the torque specs for it. Okay, so the open is installed. All the bolts are torqued to 24 Newton meters. Here's something that I forgot. You need to make the open flat here with the cylinder block as here. So if you don't make it flat, probably the gearbox is going to not sit completely flat on this surface. That's why it's a good idea to make it flat here. Pretty much this is it. Now we're going to install a new gasket on the O-level sensor. Yeah, these nuts are 10 Newton meters. We're just going to install the flywheel. We're going to use new bolts, of course, because if you reuse the old ones, you're at least going to need to apply a new thread locker, because you're going to start leaking from here for sure. So I'm going to tap them a little bit.
This should be
Alright. The other one.
okay, like that.
Okay, so pretty much the important things are installed. The new valve cover, once again we have replaced it because all of them are leaking from behind, especially from here. They are bending, and even if you replace the gasket, you're going to have a leaking valve cover. And the other plus is that you are going to change your oil gas separation system, which is integrated here. Here we have a diaphragm which can go bad, and you're going to have some issues with it. Yeah, we have installed a flywheel. These bolts are torqued to 120 Newton meters, they are brand new ones. Yeah, actually, yeah, for those of you that are wondering, I'm doing a tool for holding this engine on an engine stand. As you can see here, this is self-made and I'm selling them in eBay. I'm going to put in the description below a link for it. You're just going to need to do your own sleeve to attach it to the engine stand, because I don't know what is your engine stand. So I'm selling the sleeves here, plus the plate and the bolts. And yeah, you're going to need to only do your sleeve for the engine stand if you want to attach your N47 on the side like ours. Okay, for the N47 nerds, because some of you are going to wonder. So this tool here, which we used, should be used until May 2013, and after that the engines after May 2013 should use this tool. So pretty much all the N47's D generations should use this tool, if I'm not mistaken. Before 2013 May should use this tool. And actually this tool is putting the high pressure fuel pump at around 45 degrees before top dead center, and this one was around 11 degrees before top dead center, something like that. This is not so important. I think the important thing is to know which tool to use. Once again, after May 2013, before May 2013. Okay, so pretty much everything is assembled. We have installed the engine, the gearbox, we have serviced the gearbox, we have put new oil and so on. Right now we are bleeding the fuel system, because as we know, this really gentle new engines has a lot of issues with the high pressure fuel pump. That's why you always need to bleed your system, even when you replace only the fuel filter. So let's wait a little bit more. And have you seen this previously? we should be careful with this car, right?
Very careful.
So this is some individual stuff, as you can see, and yeah, the interesting fact on this car is that it has two batteries from behind. This is one of it. Yeah, we have removed one of it, but they are one on each other, one on top. So this is OEM stuff. It's not somebody have done it. So the car came out of from the factory with two batteries. This is why the owner is suspecting that this part of the car is a little bit lower because of the ears and because of the two batteries. The spring and the shock got wear out a little bit faster than the other ones. So probably later on we're going to remove one of the batteries. We're going to leave it only with one. So we're going to wait how much more? Around a minute and something. And we're going to attempt to start it for the first time. We have filled the engine with oil. We have topped up the hydraulic fluid and the coolant, and we're going to see what's going to happen. Yeah, we're going to start it without the exhaust system. Here is the exhaust system of the car. Because we want to see the flying bearings from the exhaust, we want to catch them. So we're going to do it like that. So let's see how hard it's going to start up. Okay, so it starts kind of quickly. Most of the time this engine starting up pretty hard because of the one-headed high pressure fuel pump on the N57. With the two-headed high pressure fuel pumps are starting a little bit faster, but these ones are starting a little bit slower. Even like that, started kind of fast. So yeah, it's running smooth. I'm not going to keep it running because we need to top up the automatic gearbox. Yeah, this is nothing related with the timing and so on. I just wanted to show you that the engine starts and runs, and it runs as it's supposed to be. So this was all about this N47 procedure. I know it's going to be a long video, but I want to be kind of detailed as possible. So hopefully it's going to be interesting for you, and for those of you that have done it wrong previously, it's not the end of the world, but for sure you're going to have reduced lifespan of your timing chain. So okay guys, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.